3 Venezuelan vessels, closed inside 12 nautical miles of a U.S. destroyer, and the Gravely's crew had orders to hold fire. The radar screens glowed, alarms whispered, and the CIWS spun online. Every sailor expected the next second to be war, but the captain made a different call. What does it mean when restraint is used as the ultimate form of deterrence? Stay now, because that single decision reshaped how both nations interpret gray zone warfare. Before we move on, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and like the video. At 0517 local time, the USS Gravely's radar scope lit with 3 contacts racing in from the southwest. The blips were small but fast, tight in formation, closing at nearly 30 knots. Within seconds, the combat network keyed out. Condition 3, set and man all key stations. The voices on the net were flat, efficient, controlled. The destroyer had been running a routine leg of Operation Sentinel South, patrolling for narcotics, smuggling in international waters, north of the Venezuelan coast. The mission's purpose was clear: maintain presence, interdict traffickers, keep watch on a region where coastlines and politics often bled into each other. Nothing about the shift indicated the next 17 minutes would push a Navy crew to the razor edge of protocol. The oncoming contacts were confirmed as Venezuelan patrol craft, likely part of a coastal squadron built for speed rather than armor. They ran hard at 28 knots, holding a line that traced directly toward the destroyer's position. The Gravely's operating zone lay well outside any recognized 12 nautical mile limit, but inside Caracas's self-declared security zone, a boundary the United States never accepted. The bridge shifted tone immediately, lighting dim. Helm and navigation officers spoke in clipped exchanges as the captain took the chair. Power distribution panels lit below decks as engineers brought auxiliary generators to stand by. The Aegis system mapped each contact, and within 30 seconds, the ship transitioned from routine watch to a defensive posture. By 0519, the helicopter detachment launched Razor 21, an MH-60R Seahawk, to establish high-altitude eyes. Its crew confirmed the approach. 3 hulls, Venezuelan flag, tight formation, crews visible on deck. Inside the Gravely's CIC, the tactical screen filled with intersecting vectors. The 5-inch Mark 45 deck gun turned to face the bearing, turret motors humming while the barrel locked into a holding angle. The CIWS spun up its radar, tracking independently but silent. Nobody moved casually now. The smell of lubricant from the gun system mixed with recycled air and tension. At 0522, the range closed to 5 nautical miles. The officer of the deck ordered a hailing attempt in both English and Spanish. Venezuelan naval vessels. This is a United States warship operating in international waters. You are closing distance at high speed. Alter course immediately. The call transmitted twice before a reply came back, calm and firm. Venezuelan Navy patrol to U.S. warship. You approach our territorial waters. State your intentions. The captain gave his answer, word for word from doctrine, lawful freedom of navigation, and instructed the communications officer to repeat it every 2 minutes. The Venezuelan boats adjusted to 20 knots, but held formation, angling to the destroyer's starboard beam. At 3.6 nautical miles, the hull numbers became visible through gun camera feeds. The Gravely's systems recorded everything: bearing, signal returns, surface radar echo strength, and even air temperature around the mounts. The crew sailed a narrow channel between demonstrating authority and avoiding escalation. Sensors stayed active, but targeting radars remained off. Engineers maintained power spikes ready to route full current to weapons in under 5 seconds. It was command theater performed for whoever might be watching from Caracas. Each minute that passed deepened the balance of risk. The Venezuelans edged closer, then matched speed alongside. 2 war machines sharing the same horizon, both crews fully armed, yet unwilling to blink first. Gray zone tactics thrived on this ambiguity, operating close enough to provoke, but not enough to justify fire. The Gravely's watch officers knew that one misplaced radar lock or radio phrase could convert shadow deterrence into open conflict. At 0525, the MH-60R's optical turret tracked movement on the patrol craft's deck. No weapon raised. The destroyer's Combat Information Center recorded no hostile intent confirmed. The standing order remained to hold line and monitor. The ship's time log advanced minute by minute until 0534, when the contacts shifted direction, turning eastward as one. No farewell and no acknowledgement followed. The Gravely maintained course, silent except for the steady hum of her turbines. For the crew, restraint became the statement. A standoff ended not by shells, but by posture. The destroyer's unbroken bearing, serving as the loudest signal of all. Why would a U.S. destroyer capable of leveling coastal defenses refuse to shoot when threatened at near point-blank range? The answer lies in one word: discipline. The captain of the USS Gravely operated under a simple doctrine: no trigger is pulled unless a hostile act or unmistakable hostile intent is identified. A fast approach, aggressive tone over the radio, even a radar lock, none of those on their own met the threshold. Every maneuver had to align with lawful conduct, every step visible to superiors, lawyers, and diplomats, who would later analyze every second of the encounter. For the Gravely's commanding officer, the real weapon was legitimacy. To fire without cause would hand Caracas a narrative of American violation. To remain steady would reaffirm freedom of navigation. Inside the Combat Information Center, technicians logged every data point in real time. Bearing angles, closing speeds, radar echoes, communications transcripts, and even atmospheric pressure changes that could affect weapon sensors. The destroyer became its own evidence lab, a floating archive built second by second. Each keystroke and recorded ping was more than procedure, it was strategy. When law and warfare overlap, proof becomes the equal of firepower. The Gravely's composure under scrutiny wasn't only about restraint, it was about control, being documented as it happened. Yet the silence on deck carried its own weight. The Aegis combat system, capable of tracking and engaging dozens of targets instantly, waited on standby. The 5-inch Mark 45 gun pointed, but did not bark. The CIWS, a rotating cluster of barrels ready to shred incoming threats, kept spinning, radar alive yet muzzle cold. Every sailor at a station understood what that meant. The ship could erase those patrol boats in less than 30 seconds, but the order never came. Power was being projected through the choice not to fire. It turned inaction into a message clear enough for any radar operator within 50 nautical miles to read. Beneath the surface, tension ran an argument older than most of the crew. How international law defines a limit at sea. Venezuela had drawn a Bolivarian security zone further offshore, claiming rights no maritime court recognizes. The United States adhered to the 12-mile territorial standard, and the Gravely held just beyond that invisible perimeter, firm in the knowledge that every recorded coordinate would prove its position. The USS Gravely didn't need to argue legality on VHF radio. Its GPS and the logs did it silently. Above, the MH-60R Seahawk provided confirmation from 1,000 feet up. Its sensors captured the Gravely's track line, shining clear and separate from Venezuela's charted borders. That video feed broadcast a quiet rebuttal to any foreign statement later issued. 2 flight officers kept the lens focused, so there would be no debate. Proof that the destroyer's hull never crossed into restricted sea. In that sense, the helicopter wasn't only a lookout, it was a witness. Psychologically, this was deterrence at its most subtle form. The movement of steel alone spoke volumes. Radar sweeps, guided missile launchers pivoting outboard, the warmth of running turbines. All these created a language more persuasive than a warning shot. The crew's discipline projected certainty, while Caracas's patrol boats had to guess what would happen if they lingered too long. The captain's voice over the radio stayed calm, devoid of emotion. Every word followed protocol, and that composure made provocation useless. The USS Gravely didn't need to fire a missile or launch a warning shot to win. Control became its weapon, not confrontation. By holding course, the destroyer denied the provocation any satisfaction and turned silence into authority. That posture defined the outcome long before rangefinders cooled. Future conflicts in the Caribbean or anywhere contested waters stretched thin may rely less on reaction and more on endurance. Power now lies in patience, in measured confidence under pressure. Strength isn't proven by how fast a trigger is pulled, but by how long a commander can hold the line when restraint feels hardest.